Hello and welcome to another webinar from the Ability series. Today we'll be talking about what is ASD and what works and why. We'll be discussing in detail evidence-based techniques that improve the outcomes with Mr. KEE Kiak Nam. He's a board certified board certified member in special education BCSE. He's MAd in special education and MTech. The qualification goes long and long, and I would be talking more about it in much more detail. But let us give a couple of more minutes for more of our friends to join us. Till then, enjoy the good music. Okay, so looks like most of you have joined us. Thank you so much for yet again an overwhelming response for the Ability webinar. Like I already mentioned, I would like to repeat for the new members who have joined us just a minute ago. Today, we'll be talking about what is ASD, that is Autism Spectrum Disorder, what works and why. We'll be discussing in detail evidence-based techniques that improve the outcomes with none other than Mr. KEE Kiak. More about him a little later. Let me give you all a quick and brief introduction about Ability. For us as an organization, all carers of children with special needs are at the center of our universe. Our mission is to give every child an opportunity to thrive. And how we do that? We do that by making resources more accessible, affordable, and effective for everyone. Of course, with the help of technology and collaboration with caregivers like you. You can access resources from the Ability platform by visiting app.ability.com and clicking on the resources tab here. It has a host of resources from experts from around the community, around the world, and also Ability team members. Hope you find something useful there. Everyone should be given the opportunity to enable the best possible chance of discovering the child's true potential. And that's what we believe in, and that's what we try to do by bringing in host of other support systems, such as community, along with resources. You can find these helpful resources also on our YouTube channel, which has hundreds of useful videos. And you can also follow us on our Facebook page to never miss an update about Ability. The link to both our YouTube channel and Facebook page is being shared on the chat box right now. Also, to stay posted about the schedule of Ability events, you could visit app.ability.com and click on the events tab here. This page has the list of all the upcoming workshops and webinars being planned by Ability, and also all the past sessions that have happened in the past are available under the on-demand category. All you need to do is log in with your Ability username and password, and there you go. All the resources are accessible very easily after logging in. If you have registered for any of the past events from Ability, you must already have a username or password. If you're facing any difficulty in logging into your Ability account, please write to us at support@ability.com. How do you register for any of the event from Ability? Just simply click on this register now button after you are logged in. And if you wish to register for the workshops from Ability, like I had mentioned in few of our past sessions, workshops are available exclusively for Ability members, while the webinars are conducted free for all the community members. So if you wish to become an Ability member, now is a good time because we are running this offer of free trial month. Yes, you heard it right. You could apply for ability membership for free for a period of 30 days by clicking on this claim your free trial button over here. The link to claim the free trial is being shared in the chat box right now. If you have already taken the free trial, the offer is no longer applicable for you. But for those of you all who are trying to become an ability member for the first time, you can apply for the free trial. What are the advantages of taking the free trial? Well, you will get to attend different workshops across different learning paths, which are specially designed by experts from around the world along with ability team. These learning paths not only cover different conditions of special needs, but also talk in detail about behavioral challenges, speech and language related challenges, motor skills, remedial education, and many more. In these learning paths, what is covered is the essential knowledge, strategies and interventions, different assessment tools, case studies, and activities so that everyone gets to learn from it. It is a very enriching experience, and you must definitely try for it if you haven't already yet. Also, if you are an already existing ability member, one easy way to extend your membership period is by referring it to your friends. Yes, you can give your friend a free month of ability membership, and in return, you can get an additional month for free. Your My Account section has the link for your unique referral code. Copy the link from there and share it with your friends over Facebook, WhatsApp groups, social media platforms, and all the places that you can share it on. Also, the link for sharing the referral is once again being shared on the chat box right now. So you can also copy it from there and keep it safe with you for future use. And now, without further ado, coming to our event for today, Mr. Norman KEE Kiak Nam, he's a lecturer in special education who will be conducting today's session. He's a lecturer with the Psychology and Child and Human Development Academic Group at the National Institute of Education, Nanyang Technological University, Singapore. A board-certified member in special education by the American Academy of Special Education Professionals. Also, he's an elected member of the Omega Gamma Chi, a National Honor Society for Special Education Teachers of the National Association of Special Education Teachers, that is popularly known as NASET. Thank you so much, Norman, for joining us today. People are really excited to hear from you. So without further ado, I would request you to please take over.
Okay. Okay, good evening, everyone. Can you all see the screen?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. I believe many of you will be wondering about this autism spectrum disorder and wondering what is it all about. Okay, to give you some background, I'm a teacher educator. I'm also a parent with 3 sons with autism. They are now all adults and they are all working. My eldest is working in competitive employment. My second and third is working in half day but supported competitive employment. So what exactly is autism spectrum disorder? Okay, essentially it is that their brain is a bit different from a neurotypical or typically developing, not in terms of the composition, but in terms of the proportion. Now, I will explain to you more in detail, but how do you actually observe or notice that someone actually has got autism? Is actually through their social communication. If you were to talk to them, you will notice that when they reply to you or when they react to you, it's a kind of a bit odd. Okay, it's a bit kind of odd. And when you interact with them, you look at their body language, when their eyes, they may not be looking at you, and so on. You notice that something is really odd. It is not typical. And if you were to consider, if you get to know them and you know about their interest is rather narrow. They'll be either interested, some of them are interested in Pokemon, some of them are interested in even in earthquake, some are interested in Thomas the Train, some of them are interested in switching on and off switches, and so on. Their interest is rather narrow. And then they have got they like to repeat their action in doing so. Must follow a certain way of walking, or so follow a certain procedures or routines in daily life. Now, the next thing about them is that these difficulties that they face actually affect their daily living in a significant way, where educators, parents, or friends notice that it is different, markedly different. And besides this, it is also not due to any other developmental disorders like intellectual development disorders or global development disorder solely due to that. There can be comorbidity, that means it can also have that, but it is not mainly due to that. So the way to diagnose whether a child has got autism spectrum disorder, currently there's one way, which is Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, or DSM-5, which is published in 2013, and there are actually 5 criteria. I've actually reduced them into the 3 criteria that you see here, but to put it in layman's terms, it just means this. There's the people with autism, they do not look different from typically developing. However, their behavior is different. So their behavior is different in the way that they talk, the way that they interact with you. And normally parents or their relatives will notice that there are some differences during the first 3 years of the child's life. It means after birth. Now, the brains of the people with autism, they are born different in the sense of the proportion of the different parts of the brain, but not in terms of the composition of the brain. It's still the same human brain. It's just that they are born with different. So autism is not really a disease. It's not a disease. It's just that they are born different. Just like you can think of it like a handphone, an Android phone and an iPhone. Both of them, you can make calls, you can do all kinds of things on it, but the operating systems on the Android phone and the iPhone is different. So in a way, you can think that the operating system or the wiring is a bit different. Now, why are they different? So we need to take a look at the neuroscience of it. Now, if you were to look at the neuroscience of it, this Quotient, his name is a French, Quotient. Now, he has actually collated a lot of neuroscience studies about the brain of children with autism. And what he has found, if you were to look at these 2 graphs here, each dot that you see here is a neuroscience study. So what happens is that when the child is born, the child with autism is born, his brain is slightly smaller, but within 2 or 3 years, there is accelerated development of the brain, such that the brain actually increases by about 10% in terms of the head circumference. It means the head circumference, if they were to measure it, is about 10% more. And what about the brain weight? Is also at least 10% more. Now, this accelerated brain development when they were young, and by the time they reach about 3 years old or 3 to 4 years old, their brain will have reached the maximum mass. Okay, what would be the implications? The implications for a brain that develops so fast. Okay, so we will look at what happens for the brain development. What they found was that the increase was in the frontal lobe, temporal lobe, parietal lobe, occipital lobe. I will go into detail for each one of these so that you have a better understanding of what it does. But all the studies actually show that at least these 4 regions, there is an increase. Increase is significant in the frontal lobe and temporal lobe when they are very young. There is an increase, but not significant in the parietal lobe and occipital lobe. Okay, now this difference in development, what does it imply? Okay, first of all, if you were to look at the density of the brain, okay, the brain cells. Okay, if you were to look at this chart here, it is for a newborn, this is normal, and the child with autism and typical will be similar. 1 month will be similar. 6 months is more or less still similar and is normal. But once after the 6 months onwards, what happens is that the amount of brain cells that develop is very dense, it's intense. Okay, the development of the brain cells for the child with autism is extreme. Now, with extreme development of all these brain cells, what does it what's the implications? The implications is that if there is any kind of neural signals that you pass, it will be amplified. So if this happens for hearing, the sound will be loud, it will be amplified. If this is concerning seeing, you will see a lot of details and so on. I will go into details on this. So if you talk about the temporal lobe, which is when the sound comes into the child with autism, because of this increased density of the neural cells, which happens to more than 90% of those people with autism, especially child with autism, the sound will be amplified. When it's amplified, if I were to talk to you right now and say hello, for them they will hear hello very loud. Okay, so if it's very loud, if you notice children with autism, there may be a tendency for them to cup their ears whenever they find that the environment is very loud. It's loud, not say very loud. For us, it's loud, but it's still okay. But for them, it is very loud. And what happens when they start to cup their ears? They will stop listening. When they stop listening, what happens? A lot of instructions, a lot of social cultural learning, they will miss it. So what should you do when you see such kind of situation? If you notice that the child actually cup the ears in a certain kind of environment, whether it's at home or you go to a wet market, a market or shopping center and so on, when they start to cup their ears, it means that the sound is too loud. Now, what you can do is that you can get them earmuffs. This will reduce the volume, but it doesn't cut out all the sound. They will still be able to hear, and they're still able to more or less make up the sound. But this will give them some form of security. Okay, make them feel more secure. With this, they will feel better. And my second son with autism, whenever there is a lightning storm and there is a thunder, he can actually hear the thunder far away. I couldn't hear the thunder sound, but he could hear it. And at first, we are not sure whether it is true. Then later on, we do find that he has shown to us about this, or in a way reacted. It is true that there is a thunderstorm that is coming. And sometimes my wife actually told me that he could actually hear that my car has just gone down, just parked below, and that time we were staying on the 9th floor, and he could actually hear my car coming, even though he cannot see it. So their hearing is actually quite acute, and wearing a earmuff is good, but it should not be worn all the time. It's only when it's needed. That means when they show signs they're cupping their ears with their hands, it means that the environment is too loud. Then they should use this. Okay, the one that my son is using is from a 3M pelter. Okay, now the other area where the brain is in the parietal lobe. Now the parietal lobe, what does it do? It actually controls all the sensory processing. Means every time you touch or you taste or you feel, all the signals will all come to the parietal lobe. So if the parietal lobe is enlarged, it means you have high density of the nerves. What does it mean? It means that the firing will be a lot. So sometimes some people may just walk past, and just a gentle wind that may brush across the person, just a slight wind. The child may feel as if someone is punching them and may react. Now, then if they were to wear clothes, especially t-shirts or clothes with a collar, and there's some label behind, they will be able to sense that label, and they'll be disturbed by the label. a lot of times whenever you see them wearing t-shirt, they will try to touch it, they will try to go behind. The only way to resolve this is to cut away that label away. Then if they were to eat any kind of food that has got a lot of texture, and what may happen is they will spit it out, especially when they are very young. So to help them in terms of this sensory information, what those occupational therapists may do is they do this sensory integration interventions. Now, what exactly are they, or what are they trying to do? The idea behind all their intervention is this: if they are hypersensitive, what can be done is that you desensitize them. Okay, what do I mean by this? For example, I used to stay behind on top, and then when I go down, there was a rubbish dump near a place where I stay, and I need to walk past it to get to my transport. Now, what happened was, in the beginning, I may feel that it's very smelly, so I will use a handkerchief. I will block my nose, and then I will walk past it. Now, because I have to walk past that place every day, after a while of walking over to that place, I get used to the smell. Although it's smelly, but I find that it's not so bad. So after a long while of exposure, I become desensitized. So what do the occupational therapists or others they are trying to do in terms of sensory integration is that if they're hypersensitive, to give them small dose of it and gradually increase until they become desensitized, until it becomes normal. My son has got this challenge in eating a food that has a lot of texture. He just eat rice and soup. So to desensitize him, what we did was at first we give him powder kind of cereal until he get used to it. Then my wife will find a chicken, pull out all the chicken meat into shreds, then chop in a very small piece, and let him put it together with his rice and his porridge. Then let it, after a while, he get used to it. The pieces of the meat becomes bigger and bigger and bigger until he can eat the normal chicken. So it is over time. Now, what happens if they're hyposensitive? Means they don't really feel it so much, and you need to sensitize. It can go either way. If they're hyposensitive, means that they don't really feel much. Then basically is that you need to sensitize them. So sometimes you see some of them, they need sensory diet. They do brushing. They cannot feel their hands so well, and so they do a lot of brushing to let them feel, let them actually have a sensation, and so on. So you sensitize it, and then after a while they may be sensitized to what is considered as normal. So that is the strategy behind sensory processing in general. Okay, now, what about the occipital lobe? Occipital lobe is concerning sightseeing. All the visual signals will go to the occipital lobe. Now, if you were to look at this chart below here, on the left down here is typically developing. On the right here is the child with autism. You look at the amount of orange that this have is a lot more, both on the left and the right brain. Left and the right side, in terms of the processing of the images in the brain. And if you look at the signal, it is quite intense. It's a lot more. So to illustrate this case, we can look at this Stephen Wilshire. Okay, he came to Singapore in this 2014, and he sat in a helicopter, and he fly over the Singapore and look at the Singapore skyline for 1 hour. After 1 hour, he could draw Singapore city skyscape for 5 days with a lot of great detail, and it's also in the right proportion. You can actually check out the YouTube video to see how much detail there is, and you can also read the Straits Times account of it. And when he draw this in front of a live audience, and he doesn't have a photo to help him to know the details. He actually draw all totally from his memory of that 1 hour, and he draw in 5 days, which is quite amazing. So this is the kind of amount of details that they do see. Now, if you have got this eye for details, so what do you think will happen? If you have if you are teaching, you are a teacher, and you put in plenty of details inside your PowerPoint slide or in whatever that you are using, and the child notice all the details of it, the child will be what? Overwhelmed. So if you want to teach them in terms of teaching them, some of you ask, but how do you teach them? You need to reduce the details to what is necessary and essential for the objective of your lesson to be learned. So you need to actually reduce the details. If you don't reduce the details, they will become overwhelmed. And because they do notice the details, and they do not want things to change. So for example, if they enter a room, your classroom and so on, and they look at the arrangement of the whole classroom, and you happen to put your pencil case or your handphone or whatever is in a certain position, and if you were to change it, they may come out in front and put it back. Now, why is it that they need to do such things? The way to understand it is perhaps by understanding ourselves. So let's just consider we go to a big supermarket, not a normal supermarket, a big supermarket. Now, if this big supermarket, they got shelves for toiletries, shelf for frozen food, also for canned tin food and so on. And there are different compartments. And assuming this supermarket is really large, it takes you some time to learn what is found in all the different shelves, and you become familiar. If someone were to shift it due to renovation or to shift those things around, and you were to go to the market and supermarket and you try to get your item and you cannot find the item because it's shifted around, I think many of us will feel frustrated, because we took us some time to learn the details of the placement of all the different parts. A simpler one, maybe that comes at home, is the kitchen. Those of you who do work in the kitchen and you do place all the fork, the spoon, the place on in certain position, you do not like people to move it around. You want them to put them back in the same position so that you can find them and so on. So this is perhaps the understanding for you to know why they need for consistency, because they notice the details and they do not want to relearn it again. They want it to be predictable so that they can move on to learn something else. Okay, so one of the things they need to take note is that the visual information needs to be reduced. Now, if they look at a human face, like they look at me and so on. Now, there are 6 basic categories of emotion: happiness, surprise, anger, sadness, fear, disgust. There's also 21 categories of compound emotion, like happily surprised, and so on, as you can see from the pictures over here. So when they look at a human face, how will they feel? They will feel a bit overwhelmed, because the human face keep on changing the different kind of emotions. And this changing of emotions is like you are watching a video that is taken by someone who's walking around and the video camera is shaking. So what happens when they look at a person's face, they will try not to look at it. They will look at the floor. They'll look at the wall. They look somewhere else. And some people think that they are rude because there's no eye contact. So how best to actually help them is because you cannot explain to everyone about their challenges. So you can actually help them to live with it. How do you help them to live with it? Ask them to look at the nose tip or look at the forehead where there is lesser or little movement. Like our nose tip is actually made of cartilage, so it cannot actually move. So ask them to focus on the nose tip, then it becomes more manageable and appear less rude. Now, because of the larger occipital lobe, and they don't look at people most of the time, they look at objects. So what is it that they will miss out? They'll miss out joint attention. Joint attention means, let's say this person is looking at this cup of drink. You look at this cup of drink, you also notice that this person is also looking at this cup of drink. And let's say when you say, oh, this looks cool, or this looks delicious. or it's a drink that I will desire. Then they will learn this cup is cold and so on. They will learn the meaning of the words through what social interaction if there is joint attention. If there's no joint attention, then what happens? Their language development will be what delayed, or will suffer because they don't have this joint attention. So because of this, they are behind others in terms of learning of language, and as well as learning social interaction and social communication. That's one of the reasons why they are behind others, or they seem to have impairment. Okay, so what can you do? A lot of times is that because they don't look at humans' faces, don't look at humans so much, they will miss out all this learning. So if you see all those kind of intervention, evidence-based, like human modeling, human scaffolding, picture exchange communication system, social stories, human mediated, and so on, all of them, what are they all trying to do? All these evidence-based practices, what are they trying to do? They are trying to fill in the gaps where the child do not look at another person, don't look at what's happening. So they actually, in a way, break down the task into piecemeal size and help them to see what they didn't see. Then they will be able to grasp it and be able to manage it. So these are all the different possible ways. But essentially, what do? Break down the task into smaller pieces, and then help them to focus on it, and then help them to guide them to understand all the aspects that will be required for them to behave or to learn. Now, in terms of their frontal lobe, okay, frontal lobe is also enlarged. Now, so what does the frontal lobe do? It is the place where what we know as thinking, actually is cognitive processing, all the thinking. So because the frontal lobe is enlarged, they will want a lot of details. So whenever you give them instructions, you find that they'll keep on probing you, keep on asking you questions. It's like you told them some details, but to them, the details is not enough. They want to know more. They want to know what comes after this step, what's after step. So they keep on probing you a lot of questions. So if you want to help them to learn, in terms as a teacher, teaching them, the best is that you can break it down into all those instructions, clear instructions. That's kind of like which is that flows. They're simple enough for them to follow, and you try to remove details which are not really necessary for the learning, and just leave the details which are important for the learning there, and then you actually pass it to them in terms of steps. Then they'll be able to see the flow, and the best is in terms of their strength will be more on visual rather than in terms of a lot of words. And so we try to reduce overload. Okay, overload by reducing the details to what is necessary. Okay, and they also have an enlarged amygdala. Now, amygdala, what does it do? Is basically is that it will amplify, is actually an emotion center. So if it's enlarged, means the emotions is amplified. So when they're happy, they're very happy. When they're sad, they are morbidly sad. When they are fearful, they are very fearful. So it is there's nowhere in between. It's like exaggerated. So you have to take note that because the amygdala is enlarged, if they are ever frightened or they become very, very angry, what will happen is that our brain, we have got this reticular activating system. It will kick in. What does it do? It helps the child to react as if there is a real danger, whether they will fight or they will have a flight or they freeze. So when that happens, any kind of processing will not go up into the frontal lobe. It will be a very primitive. It will react based on pure emotion. So you have to take note that you do not trigger them to be very, very angry or very, very fearful, where this reticular activating system is activated, which is to them there's danger. And because there's a danger, what they will do is a very kind of primitive, means they will try to protect themselves, and they will not listen to any kind of reasoning. So there's no point to reason to them when their reticular activating system is activated, you need to let them calm down. Okay, I have shared with you the gist about what autism in terms of the neuroscience is. I intentionally stop this so that you have time to ask questions. My actual course is actually about 3 days or more than 3 days. So now is a portion for you to ask any questions that you may be interested.
Thank you so much, Norman. That was really informative. Some of the audience members and the registrants have already asked a few of the questions which I would like to bring to you. But before beginning that segment of the session, I would like to inform all our attendees that if you wish to register for the next webinar from Ability, the link is being shared in the chat box right now. Please do register if you wish to attend it. Also, for the active ability members, the next workshop is also scheduled very soon. The link is being shared in the chat box. So if you're interested in attending any of those webinar workshops, please do follow the link. And if you wish to become an ability member to be able to attend the workshops for free, the free trial offer is still applicable. Take a look at the offer by visiting the link that is being shared. Now, moving on to the questions that we have received today, David, who's attending our session live from Zoom, is asking us, how is Asperger's different from autism? So, Norman, if you could highlight that.
Okay, Asperger syndrome is a term used in DSM-4. It is no longer used in DSM-5, Diagnostic Statistical Manual 5. For Asperger syndrome, in part of Diagnostic Statistical Manual 4, Asperger syndrome is considered as the highest in terms of functioning level of those with autism. They have got no delay in terms of learning of languages. In terms of cognitive ability, they are as good as typically developing. However, in terms of their social aspect, because they don't look at people so much and they don't like to look at people so much, they miss a lot of learning in terms of social skills, social communication. So they will look a bit odd when they work with others. So every time, whenever I think you may be able to see them, some of them Asperger in the workplace. Some may also be boss, because they'll be very focused in their work, and some of them are very good in their work. They may become professors also. Some of them are in university, they are professors. And they are very good in terms of the area of their interest. However, in terms of social interactions, in terms of social communication, they are a bit odd. So how would you know that their son or daughter has got Asperger syndrome? Normally, when you go down to school and there's group work, you will notice that a lot of them don't like to work with this child. This child will be isolated. Why? Because find this child always want to win, always want to have the say, want to dominate the conversation, and so on. And you find that this child may be quite argumentative. If you are a parent, it may be quite challenging for you, because at home they will insist on their way. It can be looked as if quite stubborn. And they don't want to listen to you. They insist that their way is correct. The main reason, because of lack of joint attention, they don't see what other people are seeing and thinking what other people are thinking. So they think everyone thinks like them, everyone reasons like them. So in terms of parenting, is kind of challenging. So the difference is that is more on social interaction and social communication. In DSM-5, they put it under social and pragmatic disorder. They've classified them in a separate category instead of under autism. But those diagnosed under DSM-4 will still remain as Asperger syndrome. Okay. I can't hear you. Unmute.
Sorry. Hope that makes it clear for you, David. The next question that I have is from Hema and Kajli. What you were just saying, it is very similar. So as a teacher, how can we find whether a child is diagnosed with ASD, and how to initiate a conversation about this with parents? And also if there's any specific checklist that can be referred to for supporting the child better.
Essentially, I can tell you, even here in Singapore, a lot of parents do not want the label of autism diagnosis and so on. They want their child to be considered typically developing. One of the main reason is a lot of them may be doing well in school. They may be very good in their maths, they may even be good in their science and so on. They feel that their child is normal. The only thing is their behavior. So they say that they give them time to make friends and so on. So in terms of diagnosis, please take note that those parents who are open for diagnosis would have got their child diagnosed when they were young. Those parents who are adverse to the label of diagnosis, then what you can do is you can help them based on the need. Now, how to help them based on the need? Can you all see my screen? Autism Research Center from University of Cambridge. Can you all see this?
Yes, we can. Yes.
There is a lot of downloadable tests. These are screening, not diagnostic screening. So you can see there is autism spectrum for adolescent, for adult, for child. All the items are here. How do you score them? Even the face, the voice, even for toddlers, all the different kind of tests. Sometimes they got no empathy. They don't feel for others. The test of where they are and how to help them. You will have to look at the result. They will actually tell you how to score it. Okay. Over here, if you were to go over it, it will actually share with you how do you test it, how do you score it. And then from the test and the result, you can roughly see if the child is not doing well in this, okay, then you help this child in this, depending on which item. If this item, say he got no eye contact, then you have to improve the eye contact. If the child doesn't know how to respond appropriately to the friends, then teach them how to respond appropriately. So from this test is to give you some idea, okay, on what to do. But this is not diagnostic. It's just for screening. That means for you to have an idea. And whether the child, this autism spectrum quotient will also give you an idea about whether the child is considered likely to have or not likely to have for the child to go further for actual diagnostic test. So you find that the score is very low for this, then there's no need to go further in terms of this. So you can actually run through this, and this is open. This is from University of Cambridge Autism Research Center. Then they have got this test. All the tests is here. They have publications also that you can read. Okay.
This is really useful piece of information that you have shared, Norman. Hope
Okay.
our attendees benefit from it. The next question that I have is from Jackie. Jackie is asking that children with ASD find it difficult to read cues in the surrounding. For example, what is happening or other people's emotions. So how to support children with their socio-economic, socio-emotional challenges?
Oh, you teach them directly. You must walk together with them. So when let's say at home, the mommy with the daddy see that the brother is sad, so he is sad, or don't talk about others, about the child himself or herself. When she don't get the ice cream, or when she don't get what she want, and the child is angry. Okay, this is called angry. Now you are, let's say John, the name is John. John, you are angry. Oh, this is called angry. Then sometimes you see them, then oh, they are sad, they cry. Oh, now you are sad. Then teach them the word sad. So you must teach them not based on other people's emotion, based on their emotion as they are experiencing it. Then they can associate the term with their emotion, not other people's emotion, but their own emotion. So the best is you teach them when they are experiencing, when they're happy. Oh, John, you are very happy. Then you actually have the term happy. So if you want, you can use icon, the word, you can take a picture of them happy, and then put down the word HAPPY below, and then you can have a photograph with him and the word happy. So you can actually capture a lot of pictures. Use your handphone, and whenever you see them happy, take a picture of them happy. They're sad, take a picture of them sad. Then after that, you can actually put it out and then label it like a PowerPoint slide or whatever it is. Oh, now John, you are happy. So when they look at the picture, they know where they are. You don't just take the picture, but take with some surroundings, so they have the context. So they understand this emotion is called happy, this emotion is called sad, this emotion is called fearful, and so on. But you need to let the child understand and see where he or she is at that moment, so that he can actually grasp the context. So that's how you should teach them. The evidence-based is a language experience approach. If you're interested, that means you need to experience it. Then you frame it, you associate with the language, and then you can understand it better. Okay, it's called language experience approach.
That's an informative piece. The approach hopefully helps so many others. The next question that I have is from Sakshi Sajdeva. She's watching us live on Zoom. Sakshi is asking us if you have any activities to share which can be performed with autistic children along with other children, so that both the learning of the children with autism as well as other children is benefited. If you have some suggestions on this.
Oh, it's normal activity like taking a bus, a trip to somewhere. So while they are taking a trip, you can learn, but this all depends on age dependent, depending on the age and depending on what is the context you learn. If you are talking about children in preschool and so on, trips, those few trips, you can actually bring them along, but wherever you bring them should not be a noisy environment. Right. You cannot overwhelm them. You can go to like Singapore, there are botanic gardens. Even you can go to gardens by the bay where you don't find too much of a crowd. It's still a peaceful kind of environment, serene. And then you can actually play even to a playground or somewhere where it's not too overwhelming in terms of sensory. Then they can actually participate, and they'll be able to participate. And how do you know which is a good environment? Ask the parents where the child is comfortable with. But a lot of them like water, play with water. They like to go to the swimming pool, the wedding pool, and all that. They like the pool.
Right. So the only thing that needs to be kept in mind is it should not be too noisy, and something peaceful and quiet could be done for field trips or planning any of the activities.
Okay, it's a sensory, not overwhelming.
Yeah, sensory.
The environment should not, in terms of sensory experience, should not be overwhelming.
The next question that I have, thank you so much, Ram. The next one that I have has been asked by a couple of people, including Manjari, Camila, Liberty, and so many others. They're asking how to provide assistance to children with ASD during online classes. If you could share some strategies for online learning for children with autism, that would be great.
Okay, if you're doing your online learning, it should be structured. That means you should have a series, okay, like there is a itinerary. I'm over here, I'm doing this, so you can see like a schedule. Now you are here, so this you are learning this. Then you can show on the screen, okay, now you are done. So you need to give them this schedule ahead of time. Now we are here like a map. It's like a map of learning. So they can visually see, okay, now we are doing this, now we are covering this. If this is in school, is on a whiteboard and so on, you can see all those items, 1, 2, 3, now we are covering this, then they're covering that. So you can see this schedule. So now we have completed this, tick, finish. Now we move to the next. Now we are here, tick. So in order to teach them, you need to know, let them know where you are in terms of teaching, and also how you progress. And the best is to give them some form of notes where they can refer to, because in terms of auditory, they may be overwhelmed by a lot of auditory information. So what will they resort to? They'll resort to visual. So if you can give them a visual information of where you are, they can see where, like a map. Oh, now you're here. Okay, this is the facts, or this is the thing they need to learn. Then it will become more manageable.
Right.
I think like it's just like we go holiday, right? We got itinerary. Okay, now you are here in Disneyland, or you are here in this place. The next thing we're going to have our lunch, and then so they can follow the flow. Itinerary is here, so they know where they are. Then they feel more comfortable. It becomes what? Predictable. It becomes predictable. Then it becomes manageable. Yeah. Okay.
Making it predictable makes it manageable. Interesting. The next one that I have is related to the answer that you were just giving. The question is from Rabindra. Rabindra is asking if you could share some strategies to handle sensory dysfunction in children with ASD that would help Rabindra and so many others also. In
the sensory, there are all your 6 senses. It depends on which one.
Right.
So it basically is just this. If they are hypersensitive, then you need to what? Desensitize them. If they are hypersensitive, they what I mean by hyper, a little bit of sound, wow, they will react. So they need to get used to that volume or sound. So first, what you can do, you can record. Let's say they don't like the sound of grass cutter. I have seen some cases, they don't like sound of grass cutter, and they freak out whenever you hear the sound of grass cutter in the neighborhood. You can record the sound of grass cutter, record it. You can put that recorder somewhere. Just put it there first. Don't play. Just put it there until the child get used to this recorder there. It becomes part of the furniture. They get used to it. Then you play very soft that grass cutter sound. Then after play that soft sound for a while, maybe a few days, see when the child is comfortable, no, doesn't react anymore. For parents, they can do that. Then increase the volume by a bit. Then let the child get used to that. Then you increase again the volume until it is what they may normally hear. And then you stop. Don't overdo it also. So in a way, what will happen is that the child get used to the sound. They become what? Desensitized. So whatever sensory information they have challenges, if they're hyper, you desensitize them. What about hyposen? You talk to them, they don't seem that they are listening. A lot of them have got this from the research. More than 90% of them, they got what they call auditory filtering. When you're talking to them, they like as if they didn't listen to you at all. They look somewhere else. So the only way to draw attention, pat them on their back. John, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. Then they go. Then you just talk. Yeah, I'm talking to you. And get them. You keep on triggering it until they become sensitized. That when you hear a sound, you're actually talking to them. So you have to do this to sensitize them. That's the idea behind all this sensory. If they don't feel it, you need to increase the stimulation so that they can feel it. They can sense it. At first, it's a lot. Then gradually try to reduce it. Then they become more manageable. So that is to sensitize them. Okay, next. Then
interesting. The next question that I have is from Florisa, who's watching us live. You were talking about managing sounds and desensitizing them or sensitizing them. So Florisa is asking, what is your idea or concept of giving children with autism the mobile phone or the cell phone in their free time? How do you think that will impact them in a positive way or a negative way? What is the impact?
In our world right now, you cannot live without a handphone. Just imagine I take away your handphone right now, and keep it somewhere. I think you'll be lost. Like it or not, we have to learn to live with people with handphones. Even here in Singapore, students, you can find that if you take away their handphone, they call what is known as called no mobile phone phobia, nomophobia. You can look at research, their system, NOMOPHOBIA, nomophobia. It is, they feel that they need it. Without that, they feel they are lost. Okay, you have to teach them appropriate use of the handphone. It's not to stop them, but to teach them to have appropriate use of it. Like now it is lunchtime, put your phone one side because now we need to eat. So there is a time for everything. So teach them to use it appropriately. Even when they play games also, there must be a certain time. They need a start and a stop. So there is a certain time that you start. So you can put a clock, a timer or whatever. When you reach the time, okay, finish. So playing handphone, finish. Now is another activity. So you need to structure it such that there is control, not laissez-faire, not anything goes. Anything goes, what will happen? They may be obsessed with just playing phone and they don't want to do anything else. They can be so absorbed in playing in the handphone that they ignore everybody else. So it cannot be free for all. You have to structure it. There's a time for everything. Okay, so this will be under more like parenting.
Got it. Understood. So introducing structure and routine to even use of mobile phones can make it easier for children with autism. Okay. The next question that I have is from Arva. Arva is asking if you could share some strategies to train children with ASD for pre-vocational and life skills that could turn out to be useful for them in future. How could we provide them the training?
You, yeah, parents, if you can take a transport, if you know how to buy things, you teach them what you know. You are the expert. If you can take a bus transport or mass rapid transit, or you can buy food, or you're able to move around. If you can do that without any problem, you are the expert in it. You should teach them. How do you teach them? You model it. You do it first. Let them see. Just follow you. You don't need them to do anything in the beginning. Just observe you. Just bring them beside you. Just see you. Keep on looking at you, looking at what you are doing. The main problem is they don't look at you. So get a look. Look here, look here. Then point their eye. Look here, look at daddy, look at daddy. Look here, look here, look at what daddy is doing. Okay, daddy will pay. If you let's say you're paying Singapore, you have the EZ Link card. You go and tap. Okay, you take this card, you tap. Then hands over the hand. You hold your hand and tap it onto the machine. You have to demonstrate, and then you have get them to follow after you. So a lot is what copying you. This is called modeling. You need to model it and to get them to do it. It can be hands over hand, but get them to do it. So you should demonstrate it. They need to see. Why is it they are not able to do a lot of stuff which is taken for granted? Because they don't observe, they don't see. There is lack of what? Joint attention. So they miss that. So essentially what you need to do, point them, let them see. You exaggerate to let them see. Call their name, get their attention so that they see what they need to see. They do what they're supposed to do, then they'll be able to grasp it. You cannot leave it to chance, cannot assume. You have to ensure that they actually have their eyes looking at what they are supposed to be looking. You need to observe it, observe them to see whether they are actually doing it. And they're observing what they should be observing. So you facilitate it. It doesn't come by magic. There is a lot of hard work. But you are the expert. You see what's lacking, you teach. Who is the expert of the child? Parents. Get the parents to teach them what they already know at home. Wash clothes, wash dishes, mop the floor, do anything. What's normal? Give them responsibility. They can, if you keep on getting them to keep on pushing. Let's say like cleaning the table at first, dinner table, at first it may be their cleaning is dirty, still dirty, never mind.
Right.
But then goes on the motion, then do it again and again, then slowly you fine-tune it until they can do it well. So it is a continual persistence and continuation. It is a stepwise improvement. It is not one, it's not magic. It doesn't happen in one day. It may happen over a long period of time, but it can work.
Right. Interesting. So modeling the right behavior could be the way to go about it. And obviously no one other than the parents could be the experts. Interesting point. The next question that I have, since we're running short of time, I'll be taking two last questions for today. The second last question is, how can parents or professionals understand the child's ability to understand, especially in case of children with autism, if the child is non-verbal?
Oh, you catch the child in a moment with that emotion or that, like some of them want to teach what's happy. You catch them when there's a birthday, sing them a birthday cake, a birthday song, and there's a birthday cake, and they see them smiling body. Oh, now you are, John, you are happy. Or now you are sad. So you must capture them in that moment. Then they'll be able to understand. So you just use the word, oh, you are happy. They can hear you. They may be non-verbal, but their receptive language is very good. When you talk to them, you will notice that they understand what you are saying, but they cannot articulate out. In terms of expressive language, it is not there. About 50% of them, this is their range. Some of them put 50, some of them put 40% on non-verbal. But actually, verbal or non-verbal, it depends on intervention. By my second son, actually, in beginning was actually non-verbal. Now he is semi-verbal. he speak in words, not in sentences, in phrases, and whatever you want, but at least we can understand him. In the beginning, actually, there's not many words. But then we keep on provoking him using the picture exchange communication system. You want Coke, you must say Coke. You don't tell me Coke, I'm not going to give you Coke. So they thought, they say something like, sounds like that, I will give them a Coke, a small little bit of Coke to drink. And they say cheap, they say something like, then after that, I say, it's not good enough, it must be cheap, at least something closer, then they can get it. So basically, it's to get them to be able to articulate as much as possible, if they can, or they give me an icon of the chip, then I will give them. So but they need a way to communicate. So that's important. You need to get them to be able to, communication is necessary. Otherwise, they become very, very frustrated. They need a means to communicate, whether through picture, whether through gestures, whether through sign language, whatever it is, they need a way to communicate. Otherwise, they become very frustrated. And that can be dangerous when they're older.
A need to communicate would always arrive, and I think so as early as the training can begin, it would be helpful for children with autism. Coming to the last question for today, which is from Shweta. Shweta is asking that children with ASD find it very difficult to accept changes in their routine. So how can parents or professionals manage this? Also, how could we deal with students' behavior like being hyper, doing some aggressive behavior like pulling hair, pulling hands of siblings? How could this be managed?
Okay, yours got many questions. Not one question, yours got many questions. Okay, the last one is talking about frustration, is that when they are frustrated, all that, they may do something, they bang their head on the wall, or they may hit themselves, or they may punch the wall, all that. Give them some way, teach them some way about releasing this anger. Take what do you call that? You can take a punching bag. You can, okay, hold on.
It's like Norman wants to demonstrate something, and hopefully that will help him better to answer the question that is being asked.
Okay.
There he is.
I'm not sure whether let me remove my background. Okay, you can give them something like this, and then punch. When you're angry, you can punch, or you can actually get one which is a big kind of glove. So let them, okay, angry, you can punch this. Okay, take this, you can punch the wall, but don't let them hurt themselves. Teach them a way out. In terms of anger, that is how you help them. They need to know how to release the anger without hurting anybody, without hurting themselves. So they need to learn how to do it. So you should teach them how to do it.
Right.
But you cannot ask them not to be angry. It doesn't work.
Releasing the anger in the right way is what would really matter. The first part of my question, Norman, however, was, I'm sorry, there were combined questions. So the first part of the question said, if children with ASD don't like changes in their routine, and if in some particular case scenarios, there has to be a routine change that has to be made, then how do you manage those changes?
You teach them about changes by this. Okay, schedule 1, 2, 3, then 4. Let's say there are 6 steps. 1, 2, 3, then 4 is you put out a question mark. There's a wildcard change. So today it can be this, next day it can be something else, it can be something else. So you teach them what is a change. This question mark means change. And it can be this, can be that. Can they accept changes? They can, but they need time. Not immediate, not instant. Even you or me, if we go for a holiday and we expect this to be a part of the itinerary, someone will change it, we may not be happy about it. Okay, is that, but if we are informed in advance and we got sufficient time to accept the fact, we are fine. So the question is this: they need time to accept the change. So you must give them sufficient time to learn about this and to know what this change is all about. So it become what? Predictable, become consistent. Then they get used to it. Can they accept change? They can. My children all can accept change, except that it's not immediate. It takes time. Change of teacher, change of program, change of place in classroom, and so on. You need to inform them in advance. Give them time to accept that change, the fact before we can change very fast. We can accept it very fast. For them, they take a much longer runway to accept it, but they can. But you just need to give them the time and inform them in advance.
Giving them the time could be the way for in helping them to accept the change that we want to bring about. Thank you so much, Norman. That was really informative session, and hopefully a lot of people present over here must have benefited from the information which you shared, and also gained from the years of experience that you have in the field. Before ending the session, I would like to remind our attendees that if you wish to register for the next webinar from Ability, which is on positive behavioral support, please do find the link in the chat box and register using the link. Also, if you wish to register for the next workshop, which will be conducted by Rita Gendelman from the United States, this is the part 2 of the breathing, posture, and development of motor skills workshop. If you wish to attend that, please do register for it in through the link being shared in the chat box. For existing Ability members, if your membership is soon expiring and you haven't yet renewed the membership, please go to your profile section or use the link being shared in the chat box to renew your membership to be able to continue attending the events from Ability. And if you, for the ones who are joining us for the first time or who are just community members, please do opt for the free trial option to be able to opt for Ability trial membership for a period of 30 days. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. Norman, how was your experience about today's session?
Good, except I can't see their faces. A bit unusual, and I'm talking to myself.
If you could read the chat, the words are overflowing. Words of gratitude for you are actually overflowing through the chat box. So maybe you can't see them, but you could, read.
Thank you very much for all the thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Norman.
Okay, thank you. So I leave now?
Yeah. That brings us to the end of the session. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us. We'll see you in the next webinar or next event from Ability.
Okay, thank you.
Stay safe, stay healthy.
Thank you. Okay, bye. Bye.